What's up, guys?
All right.
It is time for another comic book related video.
Yep.
This time we're getting into one of the coolest comic book events to happen in a long time. And it's an official Marvel and DC crossover between, let me get up for this, Spider-Man and Superman. AKA the two greatest superheroes of all time. Can we just be real?
For real.
Look, I love Batman
the
too.
goats.
But these two are the goats. Let's just be real. So, wow. Let's just say a quick story of how we got this. We, in our local area where we live, we don't have a local comic book shop. So, luckily, this issue came out the exact same week as, I believe, Free Comic Book Day, or maybe a week before, whatever. But we went to our hometown for the weekend, and that was the exact time that Free Comic Book Day took place. And this happened to be right on the newsstand, so we got lucky in that scenario because we really wanted this very badly.
Once we saw that their crossovers were starting to happen with Spider-Man and Superman, oh man, we were getting severe FOMO, and it was almost unbearable, bro.
Severe.
Unbearable.
And luckily, our mom FaceTimed us and said she was at a shop at her current place of residence in her area, and they found Superman Spider-Man, which is basically the predecessor to this issue, and I did not know that because I'm not really kept up with the marketing, and I don't think the marketing is that good because you're gonna tell me there's Superman, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Superman. Too confusing, y'all.
Marvel and DC, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, she managed to get it, so we will be reading the kind of predecessor issue and reviewing that after this. But for now, we got this, and we wanted to share our thoughts with you all about it.
So a little bit out of order, but the video is coming. As you can see, Matthew picked up this really nice variant for me.
Yes, Civil War style. That's pretty nice.
Trying to get it in focus.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's basically a Civil War variant if you couldn't get into focus, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'll put it on the screen.
I just showed y'all, but I have the original cover.
Yeah, it's got the A cover. And the cool thing about this variant is that it's a wraparound. Mm-hmm. So, on the front, it's got some cool details. Like, kind of the standard cast of characters for the Super Gang, and all the Spider-Man's little collection of characters as well. But on the back, it's pretty cool too, because you got people like Lex, Miles, Power Girl, Green Goblin, and this cool like Daily Planet little call out.
Yeah. So let's just get right into it. I read this pretty recently. Micah read it last week, and let's just get this out of the way. We loved it. We loved this pretty much front to back. There are some complaints we have here and there that we'll get into, but we loved this crossover of tons of different Marvel and DC characters adjacent, whether it's like immediate Superman kind of family related stuff like Supergirl, or adjacent to Superman like the Trinity with Wonder Woman. So yeah,
what we're gonna do,
good experience.
What we're gonna do is go through each story one by one, kind of give our general takes.
Yeah.
And then once we're done, we're going to go into spoilers and we'll probably show panels here and there if you didn't get a chance to get this. But I highly recommend that you track this comic down wherever you're from, and go ahead and spend the, $8 or $9 because if you're a Superman fan or a Spider-Man fan or really just a fan of comics in general, you're going to like this. Yeah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the first story, which is called Our Kryptonite by Brad Meltzer and Pepe Larraz. And for me, this is probably my favorite one out of the bunch.
Same here.
Just getting that out of the way. I've already ranked them in my app. Let's see. I need to refresh my memory on this. Go ahead and take over real quick.
Well, either way, we know that this is both of our favorite stories. Yes. So, let's just get right into the art real quick. I want to get the art out of the way.
Okay.
Pepe Larraz's art is phenomenal. I really, really love the way he draws Spider-Man and Superman.
I was about to say Spider-Man is really peaking.
Yeah, I just absolutely love this kind of loose, not super defined way of drawing. It's not like super detailed. It's more kind of wavy and blurry a little bit. It kind of reminds me of Lee Week's art style, which is an artist I really love.
Is he the Lost Stars?
Yeah, he's a Superman Lost artist. He's done some art for Tom King's Batman run. And I don't know. I think this art style really shines, especially when you get into some of the spoiler territory stuff where more like slightly alien things are occurring, not to spoil. But when these things are occurring, there's a lot of like dynamic expression with his art and a lot of really, really good movement going on with Superman and Spider-Man, kind of as they fly/swing throughout Metropolis. I believe this is Metropolis, or is it New York?
I don't know. I think in these stories it's kind of ambiguous.
It
like
is
what this,
a little bit.
Well, this says Queens, New York.
Okay, so as they kind of fly and swing throughout Queens, there's really nice movement captured by the art here, and I just think the shaping of both of their bodies, like as they swing and move, is incredible. So.
Yes, the art is very dynamic.
Yes,
and
very.
If you're gonna draw Spider-Man, that's like square one. Ramos, like I've said in a previous video, is my favorite Spider-Man artist because of how dynamic his poses are for all the characters. But man, this story does not disappoint. Laraz did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And okay, the highlight of this story is the fact that it is split into like different sections that have a clear theme. And I mean, we're not talking about a super long story here. And all of these are very short, but since this is like the headlining story, it's a little bit more meaty. And each chapter, so to speak, is a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
We don't just get to see sort of a dialogue, character-driven moment in the beginning of this story, but we get to see action that happens with the cast of characters, and then also we get to see really good moments between Peter and Clark, not just Spider-Man and Superman. And that gets highlighted in the fact that they're both sort of experienced in the journalist territory.
Yeah, which I, as an idiot myself, did not register until Peter, spoiler alert, mentioned it later on in the story.
And what's really cool about that sequence when they're talking is, from a visual standpoint, they're calling back to sort of iconic looks for the characters. And it's more clear for Clark, but I will put it on screen. One of my favorite panels of a Spider-Man comic that I have is him wearing this outfit that is yellow, white, and I think blue for the pants. And Peter is wearing a yellow shirt and black pants with like this messenger bag. And I think it's a really cool nod to like a timeless look for each of the characters without being too dated, you know? Obviously, Clark wearing this like the old suit and the, I guess, a fedora that he dons, and, you know, the older style of menswear is pretty iconic. But then it's like with Peter, you have the colors that kind of pull back into your like memory for how the older style looks, but he's still wearing like a modern fit that's not too dated.
Yeah, this is a really good point, and I want to add to it. Peter's face and Clark's face in this moment that he's talking about, where they're outside of their suits, they're just in their normal clothing, are very, like, probably in that spectrum of how people draw Clark and Peter that I love the most. Peter seems kind of like in his college age era, and he seems very mature, but Clark is kind of matching and almost, you know, surpassing in a way, because Clark's like pretty much the most mature superhero ever, in my opinion. Clark's mature look with his kind of like really defined like jawline, his eyes and his glasses, like there's this panel where he's looking towards Peter's direction, and it's just like that exact kind of Clark look.
It's a very Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, it's super Christopher Reeve.
But bulkier.
It's very defined. Even his hair is kind of like slicked in a way. So I really love how he drew Peter and Clark, because it matches kind of like the archetypes of the character, which matches the selling point, I think, of this entire issue, which is kind of trying to find the peak and the best forms of these characters, you know?
This is also a great comic to squash any, like, Superman hate. I get sick and tired of people hating on Superman for being OP and unrelatable, and it's just like, just read this, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at the end of the story, we get We'll spoil it and let the latter have this video, but oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I felt the respect for each character. It's just like swimming in this comic.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm so satisfied for how they took this approach for writing this highlight story. Because as of late, I don't think Peter as a character, I made a whole video about how I don't think Peter as a character anymore is being respected in general. And also, I think that sort of applies to Superman in some cases that we can definitely go into detail about, not in this video. But not quite as bad as it comes to Peter.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would rate this, if we're going like in a 5-star rating territory, I would say this is the 5 out of 5 story. Obviously, I don't think it's perfect, but just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do think there's a spectrum here. But yeah, let's move on to the next story, which is written by Dan Slott, and it features Spider-Man Noir and a like an older 30s 40s Superman, very like golden age Superman, and the art is by Marcos Martin.
Yeah, this was a very welcome surprise. I trust that Dan Slott would make a good kind of like pseudo-annual-esque story where, you know, this feels like one of those issues that feels like an annual kind of story where writers of Marvel and DC caliber kind of combine to make their own little one-shots. But, man, this was an awesome surprise because I'm just going to be real with y'all. I'm not like the biggest fan of a lot of the Spider-Verse characters. I think Spider-Gwen is pretty cool. I think Miles is pretty good. But you can't really get me to be super interested in Spider-Noir, especially because like there's rumors about that movie, like they're making a Spider-Noir either movie or TV show or something, and I can't really get excited about that. I'm sorry, that's just how I am. But
difficult to please.
If it's a one-shot with getting straight to the point with something really smart, like a pitch that's smart, you got me won over. Because this isn't really spoiler territory, kind of isn't because it's just such a short story. But you have because we're in the Spider-Noir classic era, you have a crossover between Spider-Noir and classic Superman. And that is something I love to see, especially because, again, I feel like the artists in this entire issue, everything, really shine. Because who did the art on this I need to see? So the person who did Marcos Martin, oh my goodness, the way he draws classic Superman is just incredible.
Yep.
And the colorist, let's shout out the colorist real quick.
True, that's a good point. This is nothing without the color.
I can't really pronounce his last name. Vicente, potentially.
Musa Vicente.
He did a phenomenal job realizing this penciling. Like, it's incredible. The way the colors pop and this, like, transitioning from this, you know, kind of muted look of classic Spider-Noir to classic Superman is awesome. I just love it.
Plus, the paneling, the panel layout of this short story is the most sophisticated, in my opinion, out of the bunch.
Absolutely.
This is why we read comics, guys.
Yeah.
It highlights ways to tell stories that is impossible in the film format and other media forms.
There's this moment where a bullet gets fired and some of the paneling kind of spells out the effect of the bullet. Like,
so cool.
Like Bang, for example, and Crash. And I just think that they did such a good... Dan Slott did a good job with this pitch.
I'm looking at one of these panels and it's showing Superman flying in a very dynamic way in the middle of that event. And it's harkening back to the really old cartoon.
Oh, yes,
that I'm sure
that panel.
Many people have probably watched.
Yeah.
I grew up watching that super old cartoon, and in that cartoon, the animation is so fluid, even though it's like way older than all of the modern shows that we watch that are animated, and it just puts all the modern stuff to shame. But yeah, it's tying back to all that.
Yeah.
So well done, Dan Slott.
Yeah.
I was on Matthew's side where I was like, I don't know how I feel about this being a story. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh, okay,
this is great. And I wanted to say two things. Number one, during the panel that Micah was just talking about, the text in the lettering is, but I forgot, it's 1938. There's a new player in town. And that's Spider-Noir talking about classic Superman. And I think that's a great way to summarize the story.
So
then there's also a panel where Spider-Noir and classic Superman are kind of, you know, battling a bit, and the movement is caught in this kind of phase way where it's showing 3 phases of movement from both of them. I love it. That's all I'll say. I love it.
And we also get a callback to Amazing Fantasy, but Supermanified.
Yes, which is crazy. That's awesome. One more thing. Clark, when he's not in his suit, on the last page of it, is drawn in a very classic way. And I love that. And Peter or Spider-Noir / Peter, I don't know the lore, sorry. But he's drawn great too. But yeah, I think for me, I would give this probably like a 3.5 to 4. I think it does a really good job selling what it needs to sell. And by the way, I didn't mention my rating for the last one, which I think is a 5 out of 5 as well.
Wait, what was this one called?
Good question. Let's see.
Metropolis Marvels.
Yes.
I actually ranked this a little bit lower, even though I like it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 compared to the other ones. And then I'll put my ranking last, I guess. Like we'll show the ranking last. But on to the next story.
It's called Sweethearts. This next story, and
written by Joe Kelly, which is the current Spider-Man writer. And the art is by Humberto Ramos,
which is one of Micah's favorites.
He's the GOAT in my opinion when it comes to Spider-Man art.
Very good artist.
So
this is an interesting one.
This is interesting. I like this pitch a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get the cover that he did. That's the variant of this issue.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my hands on that because, again, he's my favorite. But I think this is like 50-50.
Yeah.
I like the premise of Lana and Gwen. They are both the female, love interests of Clark and Peter when Clark and Peter are younger. And so, as a result, they sort of get to know a side of these characters that the more mature aspects of those characters don't. The partners that they have later on don't, like Mary Jane or Lois.
Yeah.
And so I really like that premise, and I like that they instantly kick it off and become friends, and they start talking about all the qualities about Clark and Peter that they love and why they're kind of weird, because they don't know the secret identities. So they're like, is your boyfriend like also late to things and but he has a good heart. I like that. Great. I like that dialogue.
It's great.
What I don't like about this story is the weird pop feminism that's at the front half. It's like super out of place in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just don't like when you can tell like when someone writes something that is like kind of facetious or like dated.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally a quote by two random guys who are just toying with Gwen and Lana.
Very absurd.
That I'm going to quote it. It says, "Oh, baby, feminist catfight, my favorite kind. I got some baby oil back in my room if you want to wrestle it out."
It's so cringe.
Like, look, the premise of us going back to college era for Peter and matching that with Clark's college era, which, college age, we'll say, is really cool. I love how we see the idea of Gwen and Lana being college friends and talking about Clark and Peter. But the problem with that is if you're going to stick with that premise and especially use the characters of Gwen and Lana who aren't really like hyper feminist characters at all, but kind of more so just really fun love interests who still have a lot of, power in them. They're very powerful characters, especially Gwen. If you know anything about Gwen, how much she's smart, talented, things like that. They're never really bombastically feminist in any way. And just the fact that it wasn't even them mentioning, like, as characters the word feminism, but the boys that are trying to toy with them in the back saying feminist catfight, it, number one, kind of ruins the time period of Lana as a character and Gwen. And I know it's not supposed to be necessarily classic time period, but Lana is such a classic character.
Yes, and she's
never really modernized within Superman comics.
And she represents a side of Clark that is very pure. He falls in love with her when he's still a boy growing up in Smallville. Okay, I don't buy this whole version of Lana that is like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Lana should be. Yeah, she should have a snarky personality, but in a good way. It's like she's a small town person that has a snarky personality, and that's perfectly portrayed in the animated series of Superman.
Yeah.
And this just did not feel like it was written with care for that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I actually love the idea of these boys here being just absolute, idiots, because it's supposed to kind of create this world for the reader where the boys, the typical guy in Empire State University is quite an annoying group of people, right? But that's what makes Clark and Peter different for Gwen and Lana. So I love that. But you didn't have to do it in such an obtuse way.
Yeah.
You kind of could have just had them bully in a typical, normal way. But anyways, moving on from that, I think that's where the positive kind of slope comes up with this little one-shot. Because especially the way Humberto Ramos kind of realizes the dialogue between Lana and Gwen about how many crazy things happen with their boyfriends, and using that as a kind of subtextual way of referencing
the way that he's drawing Sandman.
The Superman,
so cool.
Action and the Spider-Man action.
Because he's showing Superman go against a Spider-Man villain, and Spider-Man going against a Superman villain, which is just so cool.
I love that. I love that. It's so creative to me. But yeah, it's actually very good at being short and to the point. And then as you get away from those moments, you see them interact with Clark and Peter. And first of all, I love the way Humberto draws Clark as a younger college age.
He has
Clark.
like shaggy hair. It's longer.
It's great.
He's not this very clean and bulky Clark.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
So I think it's overall a good story. I would give it a 3 out of 5 just because I think the beginning of it really kind of tainted its potential, but it picked itself up near the end. So
my ranking, this is like basically in the middle for me. It's higher than Dan Slott's story just because I like, even though I like rated it a 2.5 out of 5 because of the stuff I didn't like, I still liked it personally a little bit more than the Spider-Man noir stuff because I like the kind of romance drama of Clark and Peter, and I love seeing Lana. We don't really get to see her a lot. And I like that this is a Lana that is not like she doesn't have powers and stuff. It's just like Lana, you know.
And it is already a great pitch to admit. It's a great pitch to have Gwen specifically with Lana talking. I love that.
Moving on to the next story, which is called
Identity War.
Yes, by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. A stacked creative duo.
Gary Frank is one of my favorite comic book artists. He just captures such gritty and detailed vibes with pretty much every book I've read, which is mostly his work with Jeff Johns. And man, I just want to get right into this. So we have the Thing as the main character /
very unexpected
main character / narrator of this story. And my goodness, the way that, first of all, again, just the way Jeff Johns sometimes comes up with stories that you just would not expect for the time being is I think kind of one of his true talents, because the pitch to just get the Thing as the narrator for pretty much a summary of tons of Marvel characters and the Justice League and Young Justice and all because that's what Jeff Johns does. He brings in the DC mythos, he brings them all, and just even the shortest of stories, he brings them all in and makes it work somehow. So I think that really is his talent, is summarizing the mythos of DC with either one character or a group of characters, like we saw in Doomsday Clock with Dr. Manhattan, being this kind of mirror image of the rest of the DC mythos, to now, which is the Thing. And all of the way he writes, I can't even speak about it. It's blowing my mind looking at it. The way he writes the dialogue of the Thing is very true to his character. Isn't that crazy? Because he's a DC writer. When has Jeff Johns ever wrote Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever written on Marvel.
So I don't know. I just think he nailed him. He nailed Ben Grimm so well.
And personally, the Thing is up there for me.
Yeah.
Not like top 5 or anything, but I just really like the Thing. I don't know why. I've always just thought he's the most interesting out of the bunch when it comes to Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is not a hot take or anything. I love the Thing, and I was not expecting this treat. And Jeff Johns is definitely one of my favorite writers. I mean, Brightest Day and Blackest Night, all of his work on Green Lantern is just insane. And just to see him cherry pick all of these characters that make both publishing companies stand out was so satisfying, because I'm also a huge Legion of Superheroes fan. And it was really cool seeing characters from the Spider mythos going against them.
Yes, and again, even the rest of the Marvel mythos, there is this moment that is slight spoilers, but it's Stargirl conversing with Captain America,
which is so cool.
Which is a crossover that I never knew I needed, but I got it, and I'm more than pleased.
Yes.
I love also even just the angle, taller Steve Rogers talking to her. It's just, I love that. I feel like their banter in a film, just, probably will never happen, but a film of them having banter together would be perfect.
We get a really good Green Lantern moment.
Yes.
Jeff Johns had to put that in there.
Yep.
I'm gonna let y'all read that recently.
Yes. And just all those like tiny little crossover moments are great, but there's kind of this one big moment that we'll spoil later. But it's this moment between Superman and another Marvel character, and I think again Jeff Johns and Gary Frank has done a lot of Superman work with Action Comics in the past, and I just think they both know exactly how to capture Clark as a character. In this moment, with him and this other Marvel character is Superman at his finest. I think it was probably the most emotionally resonant part of these one-shots of this whole issue.
I agree.
Outside of maybe the last story, maybe some of the first story, I think this is really like the peak of it. And the way that Ben Grimm's witnesses this moment and narrates it is just, again, crossovers you wouldn't expect. And I think Jeff Johns, especially as kind of like the middle point of this issue, he was like, all right, maybe whether he was aware of the other stories or not that they were writing for this issue, I think he knew intuitively that what he was going to give to this was a really, really good, like, little apex middle point for readers to be just like, oh my goodness, this is such a unique take on a crossover pitch, you know? So yeah, I think I would give this like a 4.5. Yeah. I loved this story.
This is a 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
number
hard.
2 in my ranking.
Honestly, I would give it a 5 out of 5. I really don't have any complaints about this. And also one more thing, shouting out colorists again, which is, let's see, colorist is Brad Anderson, which I'm pretty sure he worked on Doomsday Clock with them as well. The colors are so fully realized for the Justice League and for the Marvel characters, for the Hulk, which is a character that shows up, She-Hulk, all these characters. It's wonderful to see these vibrant colors. I think that's what Jeff Johns just excels at, is like getting artists and colorists who capture that vibrant energy of whoever group of characters he's working with. So
there are like 2 pitches in this book that stand out, and this is one of them. Yeah. We haven't gotten to the other one yet, but the pitch of this story is amazing. And I want to say, Jeff Johns, if by some reason, somehow, some way you're actually watching this video, I don't know what you're doing. You must be a busy man. Yeah. You know, you've climbed the ladder.
Yeah.
Bro, please come out of the woodwork and write this story for real. Like, I don't know what has to happen, Marvel and DC related. I'm sure the politics of business meetings is a nightmare to get this stuff up and running. However, please, I need some type of event that is like this. I mean, like, this, reading this was like, oh my gosh, I almost wish I didn't read it, because now I know I'm not going to get the rest of the story.
Yeah. It's insane.
But not only is it epic and pure eye candy, but like Matthew said earlier, it's one of the most emotionally resonant stories in this book. I mean, we have Jeff Johns perfectly using Ben as like an archetype for real world sort of uncertainty and anger, you know, that people are feeling. And the way Superman interacts with the Thing as a foil is just genius. And Superman makes the Thing a better person.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool, because like I feel like Superman excels when he's typifying Christ, and this is very like true to that type of interpretation approach to writing the story. It's like the Thing being very angry and just uncertain and hopeless, and then meeting Superman and seeing his effect on people's lives, and then having this conversion of heart.
Yep.
And it makes him a better character.
It's great.
So, masterclass work, gentlemen. Honestly, please make this work somehow. I really want... I mean, you don't have to literally make that... You should probably not touch that story, because you did something really well.
Yeah.
My point is, like, please make something like that again. Because there is... I don't know. Anytime y'all work together, it's insane.
It speaks to how powerful the mythos is for both DC and Marvel too, because you never thought as a person that you needed the crossover between someone like Superman and the Thing until you read a story like this and you're like, these characters have shaped so many things about me as a person since I was a kid, and seeing that the crossover of like the emotions that I can relate to with the Thing and the emotions I can relate to with Clark, oh my goodness. It's incredible. Okay, so moving on to the next story. This is Ghosting by Louise Simonson and Todd Knock. Forgive me if I mispronounced.
Rochelle Rosenberg, colorist, and Joe Caramagna.
Who knows? But yeah, wow. So the art in this story, I'll get right into it, is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I always love this kind of cartoonish art. Kind of reminds me of Ryan Otley's art from the, I believe, what is it, Nick Spencer Amazing Spider-Man run? But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of reminds me of that kind of blocky, cartoonish way of drawing, which I really like.
I think I like it better for Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
But when I was watching Sal's video talking about
from
this,
Comic Pop,
yeah, shout out Comic Pop. He was saying that the way Steel is drawn is very like 90s.
Yes.
And he has like I think the arm cannon thing that he had from the 90s. I don't really know much about Steel. Like I've tried to like him. And in the Superman and Lois TV show, I think they did a good job folding him in.
They did.
And adapting his character. And to be honest, I like that a little more than I like him in the comics. And then there's also like a Steel adjacent character, which I believe was his daughter, that got folded into like a Titans run, which is okay, from what I remember. But yeah, this to me was like cool, but not like resonant for me until the twist happens and another character is introduced. And I thought that was a really cool usage. And I was like, oh, duh, that's why you're gonna write a Steel story.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually good. Like this story I think is really good for fans of Steel and Thor, which I guess I spoiled who comes in, but it's kind of like part
the shorter these stories get, the harder it is not to spoil them.
So if you're a Thor fan or a Steel fan, like you're gonna love this. I really like the way that Hobgoblin was drawn in this key moment.
I even like the way Thor is drawn as well. I just wish that he had a bigger panel to work with, like Hobgoblin and Steel had, because I would have liked a little bit more detail on his face. It's just, he's kind of like, he's literally small on the page in some ways compared to the other pages, so I don't know.
So, last panel was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm just not really a Thor fan, and I'm not really a Steel fan, so, but it is cool, and I will give it to them for that. This is... Let's see.
I would say a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Was it ghosting?
Yes.
Okay, this was like 2.5 for me, but only because I just didn't like resonate with it.
Just personally.
Yeah, this is like last on my list.
Yeah. Okay, so next story is Remarkable by Stephanie Phillips and as writer, Phil Noto, artist, and also Caramagna.
Wait, isn't Stephanie Phillips writing Daredevil?
I believe so.
Shout out to her. Yeah. I didn't realize that she was writing this one.
Yeah, this is...
I loved this.
Yeah, this is great.
I loved this. Okay, now, this is basically a... I mean, in the Sweetheart story, they use the term catfight. That's what literally happens in this. It's a catfight between Gwen and Superman. And it's... Supergirl. And it's so... good. And the fact that I had that Freudian slip about Superman is really funny because that's what happened in this book. Like, Spider-Gwen is, like, excited to meet Superman, and then Supergirl shows up, and she's like, really? I did not want to meet you.
Yep.
And they both have this really snarky and, like, one-up dynamic
that's so
to each other, and you get to see both the girls in action. Yeah. And this is fan service in a way that is, like, utilizing the characters in a fresh way. It's not just fan service. Because, like, I think Spider-Gwen has been turned into... Like, there are a lot of takes out there right now that I think are very valid when it comes to criticizing the whole Spider-Verse state, or, like, the status quo of the Spider-Verse characters, let's just say. I think Spider-Gwen has been overinflated, even though I love Spider-Gwen. And I recommended people read Spider-Gwen in the past ZINE Rack episode. Yeah. It's just that, like, we're getting to a point where a lot of these characters can feel a little bit overused and overplayed. But this was an example of Spider-Gwen being used in a very fresh way and also very meta way.
Yes.
Like, Supergirl makes fun of the fact that she's like one of 1,000, Spider-Man characters at this point.
It's so great.
So good. And also, I love the way that Supergirl is drawn in this.
I was about to say
that. Weirdly realistic.
I was about to say that.
I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, I think they drew Kara's face super well. It's a very interesting take on Kara. And there's really not much I could say outside of what Micah's already said. Again, all these pitches are really smart. And
I think the villain is Livewire.
Yes, the villain is Livewire, and I think just having Supergirl and Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider.
Yeah, I hate the name Ghost Spider. I think it's so stupid. I don't know what you guys are.
Do they ever call her that in the Spider-Verse movies? I don't think they do.
I don't know. It's very bad in my opinion.
Yeah,
no one's gonna see like, look, it's Ghost Spider.
Like everyone,
Just call her Spider Girl.
Yeah, she does need a name for the people that doesn't know her secret identity, but it's a worse name than Spider-Gwen. So
look, Spider Girl, Supergirl, not
true.
Ghost Spider, Supergirl.
Yeah, but anyways, not true to her character, we know, but we love the interaction between them, and again, the pitch of there's this hilarious panel. I was about to say that the pitch of this is genius, but I love looking at this panel as I was about to say that, and it's this panel where they're just they are mean staring at one another, and I think that just captures the essence of the story.
There it is. Okay,
it's so great. I love this just banter between them.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah.
I gave this one 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah,
this is number 3 in my ranking. I loved this one.
Yes, sir.
What would you give this?
I would give it 4. Just a solid 4. I really like it. Yeah. So next story is The One Thing by Brian Michael Bendis and Sarah Pichelli as artist. Federico Blee as color artist. And also Caramagna, again, third story in this as letterer. I'm going to be real with you. I don't remember what happened in this story.
Sorry, Bendis.
Typical things happened with Bendis comics is me not remembering what happened.
Let's talk about this for
Not
a second.
to throw shade.
Let's talk about this for a second. I have been waiting to talk about this with you because I wanted to actually talk about it.
Well, before you say anything, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. Bendis, as always, suffers sometimes from writing too much dialogue on one page. I'm looking at a page right now, and there's a lot of yapping going on. And that's okay. I like when dialogue shows up a lot in comics.
This page?
Yeah, it gives the letterer more of a job to do and to be creative, and that's awesome. But I just can't stand Bendis' specific trope of writing so much, especially when you have a job of a one-shot like this. I don't want too much dialogue. I want more action, right? But, I mean, we need some meaningful dialogue like we did with the first story, but it's... I don't know, just the way he writes it, man. It just doesn't feel earned sometimes. But
I'm
kind of jumping ahead of.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with your critique of him in general with that, but I do think that this is an okay amount of dialogue.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's my problems with the dialogue is less about the amount and what's being said.
Yeah.
But let's just go into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you can tell, Matthew and I are not quite big fans of Bendis, and it's not because he hasn't written good stories. I mean, everyone knows that he, wrote one of the coolest arcs for Spider-Man.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm really behind on that. I feel like a fraud sometimes as a Spider-Man fan because I haven't read all of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is sort of a LARP to say that it's one of the best, but it also is kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, man, ever since Bendis completely changed the trajectory of Superman's character and Superman's cast of characters, it's been really difficult for me to get back on the Bendis train.
Yeah, just it's unfortunate that Bendis did a lot of what he did to Superman and just everything in Superman lore, and it does. I forgive him. It's not a big deal. It's comics. You can always retcon everything and do whatever you want.
I still want him to have a good career and stuff. Yeah. And I want good stories. It's just when I see him now, it's hard because it's oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a recent wound for us.
Yes.
It's not over a decade old kind of thing.
So that being said, I really don't like how okay, this is a weird situation because it makes sense that he'd be writing Miles and Superman because he created Miles and he wrote Superman, like we just said. But that's kind of the bad... That's the reason why I don't like it is because he's sort of just glazing himself.
Yeah, and not only that, but think about how creative the other pitches were for every other story. The crossovers that would occur... The characters that they actually the dialogue that they actually chose, the moments of heart with these characters, it's all kind of unexpected for the writers. and unexpected for the audience. So when it comes to Bendis writing Miles and Superman, I'm like, oh, here we go. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make me excited. I like the idea of thinking about Miles interacting with Superman, but I don't love it. I don't really care too much. I don't know. I'm not personally interested, kind of like Micah wasn't personally interested in Steel. It's just, I like Miles a lot, but the specific crossover between Superman and Miles is not something I really had as a priority in my head. But it does make sense as a successive story to Supergirl and Spider-Gwen. So I don't know. There's some merit to it. But I will say my favorite thing is kind of the spoiler territory, which is the villains.
Let's just say it. Because this is Dormammu. And Brainiac.
Dormammu.
That's the pitch.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
That's a great one. I gotta say that is a very, very good pitch.
I love Brainiac.
So yeah, Bendis, you did really well with the villain pitch here.
But
absolutely.
Nothing's really done with it.
Yeah.
This story is more of a dialogue-driven character study, and the villains are there for the background. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it's like there are other parts in this collection of stories where you get the whole motif of Superman talking to X character and being like, giving them a life lesson. Yeah. And I don't think this one is as poignant.
I will say there is a moment where Superman says something pretty cool to Miles, which is this quote saying, "When I was around your age, I was so worried, always worried. Worried I'm not making the right choices, worried I'm not in the right place. I wasted so much energy worrying, and the answer was always the same. If I showed up to do the right thing, if I was present and trying to make that day better, then that is the right choice. And you're right here. You showed up, etc., etc." That's Clark. That's Clark. And I think what he's preaching is actually super relevant. But still, I don't know. I just think the specific crossover character is not something I'm personally super interested in. But for Miles fans, maybe you could eat it up for sure.
Yeah. I'll say something positive.
Yeah.
Which I forgot about. This positive moment is actually it's a pretty good highlight of all these stories. Basically, Miles. So when Miles meets Superman, Superman's like, "What's your name?" And Miles just blurts out his own name.
I was going to mention this.
That is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
And he's like, wait. I mean, Spider-Man. That's my name's not Miles, it's Spider-Man.
It's almost like this two-sided coin going on where you have Miles being Miles. That's like such a Miles thing to do. But it's also kind of just this gut reaction to seeing Superman.
He makes you break frame.
Yeah.
Like he's Superman.
Which is very smart, and I commend Bendis for writing that scene. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's like the moment that you highlighted when he gives him the advice, and like the moment that I just said, those were great moments. It's just like everything around it just doesn't feel inspired.
Yeah,
and I don't know why. Bendis, I feel like you could have done something better.
Especially if you introduce this villain crossover and kind of do nothing with it. I don't know. Because it's like with the Supergirl Spider-Gwen story, it was just Livewire. You know, it wasn't like the focus wasn't really on the villain, right? The focus was more so on the banter of the superheroes. In this case, it was trying to focus on the banter of the superheroes and say, "Look, Squirrel, look, Dormammu and Brainiac," and it's like, whoa, that's awesome. But back to the sappy kind of stuff, which is good sappy, but like that's kind of weird. It's throwing me in multiple directions,
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because of limitations, which is fine, but
So. What was that called?
I give this I give it a 3 out of 5 because I respect the good moments.
I also give it a 3 out of 5, but it is the second to last one on my list. But anyway, let's move on. The next story is called The Wondrous and the Worthy, written by Jason Aaron. Art by Russell Dodderman, colorist Matthew Wilson, and then Caramagna.
Wow, Wilson and Caramagna are putting a lot of work in on this issue.
Yeah, I didn't realize that first time around.
So yeah, this was actually I reread it just a little bit before we shot this because I honestly did not remember a lot of what was going on. But let's just cover the pitch real quick.
This was the other pitch that I was referencing. 2 pitches that stand out in the book. The first one being the Jeff Johns story. This one is the Jason Aaron story. These are the best 2 pitches in the book, in my opinion.
You go ahead, say it.
So, this is crazy. Okay, this is why we do crossover comics. So, should I just spoil stuff? Like, how do I... So the pitch is that Darkseid is sweeping. So, he killed Odin And now Darkseid is the All-Father.
Insane.
Which is so cool. And like every single aspect of that,
that's so smart.
Every single thing you read in this story is like a what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the implications of Darkseid doing that. Because not only do you have that, right? He like killed him at the source wall. That's crazy. But the parademons are venomized.
Yeah.
That's
which is
crazy.
awesome. I'm sorry, that's awesome. That's so sick.
That's so cool. Oh my goodness. And so
oh man.
What is also really cool is that Wonder Woman is in this story. And she gets to talk to Jane Foster Thor.
Yep.
And I don't really know anything about Jane Foster Thor. But I thought it was really cool. It was fresh, like I said. Like seeing the characters in Spider-Man and Superman's lives interact in ways that make sense is really cool. And Wonder Woman has this effect on Jane Foster that Superman is basically having on all the other characters as well. Like, you know, she's Wonder Woman. She's the archetypal female superhero. And I do think that, like, the ending of this story of sort of, I don't know, it's like it doesn't personally resonate with me, like this whole, I don't really know. Did Jason Aaron create Jane Foster Thor?
Good question. I don't know.
I don't know who did that. But whoever did, obviously, it seems like they had some personally bad experiences with cancer. I don't know, you know, what family members or experiences that the author had. It's like the focus on Jane specifically in this story is like it doesn't really resonate with me, but I can tell that it would probably resonate with someone else. And I just really like the dialogue between her and Wonder Woman. I mean, I could hear Diana's voice from the Justice League cartoon speaking. I just loved it because I don't really read that much Wonder Woman, and maybe I should, but I don't really know where to start. But great story. There's such momentum in this, action-wise.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because Jane is like freaking out. She's like trying to keep it cool when she's talking to Wonder Woman, but like her inner monologue is like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I am talking to Wonder Woman right now."
Yeah. It's so funny.
So, the art is kind of like
it's
weird.
Yeah.
I don't think that Dodderman draws Wonder Woman as well as he does
Jane Foster.
Other characters.
Yeah. It's a little too cartoonish.
Yeah, her face is weirdly
way
cartoonish.
that I can't really compliment. But it's still not bad.
But Darkseid is drawn. Oh my gosh, bro!
Darkseid's drawn amazingly.
The anti-life blade.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Superman's drawn pretty well. I mean, Scarlet Witch looks great. Supergirl looks. Kind of spoiling the last panel.
Yeah, sorry.
But still good.
Okay, highlights are Scarlet Witch. I think Spider-Man looks cool.
Yeah.
Jane Foster looks cool. Superman looks alright. Darkseid looks really good. I don't think Green Lantern looks good. And I think Wonder Woman just looks weird.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like, the rest of the art is phenomenal. I mean, again, like, getting venomized parademons is insane. But yeah, really cool pitch. And this was a standout story for me.
Yeah.
And this is another example, like when I was talking about how we need another Jeff Johns event. We need this event. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, again, you don't have to, like, literally make an event out of this, but I'm saying, like, the potential of these is just, it's off the charts.
Out of this world. They can make so much money off
for real. So, what was this one called again?
Good question. Let's see.
Wondrous and Worthy.
Yeah. I would give it a 3 out of 5. 3.5. 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Wait, I think I just labeled it Symbiotes in Metropolis. Oh my.
Bro was definitely reading that crap at 3 a.m. or something.
I also gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Like, really cool. Just the others were just better. But
all right.
Yeah, moving on to the last story. Yeah. And this is the shortest of the bunch. It's called One of Those Days, written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by Jim Cheung. Colorist is J. David Ramos, and Caramagna is a letterer. What do you think about this one?
I mean, this is... It's great. I think it's a very heartfelt conversation. It's just a pitch of a conversation between Clark and Peter. And it's very heartfelt. I think I will say this. I think it's a little too on the nose with the dialogue. But the message of it and just the capturing of the heart of the characters, it's definitely something I'm glad I've seen. That's basically what I think.
For me, I love the art.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't think I was thinking this when I first read through all these, but looking back really at it, great. The color is done extremely well.
Yeah, it's this brighter color.
And I love how we're getting an OG early days of Spider-Man suit.
And also this
very Ditko Spider-Man.
This kind of like just gorgeous combination of colors with the sunset.
Yep.
As Clark and Peter are talking is really awesome. But yeah, the pitch itself, we're kind of into spoiler territory at this point because it's just 2 pages long. This is Spider-Man kind of reminiscing pretty soon after
losing Gwen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is pretty heavy. That's a pretty heavy pitch to go for in terms of just like really soon after, again, classic suit and everything, and Clark coming up to him and talking him through this pain. That's real.
And this is hard to explain, but like this was my favorite sort of Clark giving advice to a character moment, I think. It might have been the Jeff Johns one too. It's a competition, I guess. But the reason why I say it's hard to explain is because I actually don't think Jeff Loeb landed the plane. I think like he was right there.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to spoil a bit because it's so short and we're already so far into this video. But at the end of Clark's speech, he says, some days you'll feel better. And he goes, better is good. We like better. And then Peter goes, we do like better. And then Clark goes, take care, and flies away. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like, it's very like modern slang, like, we like this. We like this.
It doesn't sound
it did
like
not
Clark.
fit. Like,
it just does.
I don't know what Jeff Loeb was thinking because, like, right before that, it was very emotional, and I was like, "This is extremely well done." Very, like, a very standout moment for me in the book, and I love that it was at the end. And then Clark says that, and I was like,
it kind of takes you out of the hypnotism of the story.
So for that reason, it's not like I think maybe the Jeff Johns moment was a slightly better or something. I don't know, but. It doesn't fully take away from the story. It's just like a very annoying moment that took it from a story that's way up here to just
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like the ending dialogue where Spider-Man's just like, what the heck? Like, he's flying away. That's just so cool. I love that how he does that.
That's a Peter thing to say.
That was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only bad part about the story is that one weird moment of dialogue that Clark ends with. It just does not fit the rest of the story.
But let's talk about the really positive thing he said, which is extremely... so this is something I really love about this, and it's kind of why I kind of forgive the whole we like better thing. I just love how in this moment of Peter really grieving and reflecting on the death of Gwen... Clark immediately talks to him about mortality.
Yeah.
Which, to me, I'm one of those people who I think mortality is a subject that is super important to talk about and is always just of relevance in just human discussion, and it's not talked about enough, in my opinion. So, seeing Clark immediately, like, zone in on that subject, specifically because Pa Kent told him about it, and using that as kind of the immediate advice, not even advice, but just kind of comfort to say to Peter as he's grieving the death of Gwen is really beautiful. I mean, he says, I'm not going to read the whole thing just in case you want to read this, but he says, he's quoting almost, or paraphrasing Pa, and he's saying, you are born and you die, and you don't have anything to say about either of them, but what matters is what you do in between those two things that makes the difference. You'll have good days, you'll have really bad days, yada yada. And it's like, I love kind of just like the almost really blunt in a caring way nature of that speech. It's this very like, here's the truth, this is how it is, and you're gonna have some really bad days but you're gonna have some good days. So I don't know, that's just like, it's the simplicity of Clark mixed in with the truth of his upbringing from his father, in that moment. I love it.
Very good. And also, I like having a panel of Spider-Man sitting on the ledge.
Yeah.
He's sad. Superman flies in, and there's an American flag in the background, and the sunset is happening.
Yeah.
Oh no! It says pre-dawn, so it's the light is rising.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
And it was just, even though it is on the nose, it's like that's the point of this. You know, it's like the point of something like this is to look at these characters, look at the archetypes, hone in on it. And I think this story does a really good job doing that. You know, it highlights why Spider-Man is relatable and also highlights why Superman is so important.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good way of describing it. It's a very clean and quick but sophisticated summary of what makes Clark special. As I don't know, I don't want to say a contrast, but a difference from what makes Peter special.
Yep.
Because Peter's relatable in his grief and how he handles his grief and the reality of his sadness, but the perseverance of his responsibility and his sacrifices. But Clark he's higher than relatability, and that's what makes him special. And that's why some people get him wrong sometimes. But
yeah, we that's a good segue into the next thing.
Yeah.
Finish your thought.
But my whole thing is in that moment you see how Clark kind of surpasses relatability in some ways, and how Clark is, even though he will be relatable as a character in some stories and in some moments, he's always above humanity in some ways. He's always the shining example of what humanity's kind of supposed to be. And part of that is because of such truthful and upright humanity was instilled into him as a kid. And I don't know, it just really shines through in that moment.
So I gave that one 4 out of 5.
I would give it the same.
Number 4 out of my ranking. So my ranking is number 1, Our Kryptonite, 5 out of 5. That's the intro story by Meltzer. Number 2, Identity War, 5 out of 5. That was the Jeff Johns story. And let's see, number 3, Remarkable, 4.5 out of 5, which is the Spider-Gwen and Supergirl story, written by Stephanie, what's her name, Williams?
Stephanie Phillips.
And then number 4, One of Those Days, which is what we just talked about, 4 out of 5, written by Jeff Loeb. Number 5 is Sweethearts, which is 2.5 out of 5. I know it's weird. I gave it a weird starring, but I still love it at the end of the day. Written by Joe Kelly. Number 6, Symbiotes in Metropolis, as I call it, but it's called.
Actually, it's called Symbiotes and well, it's weird. It's called The Wondrous and the Worthy, but in this page where it shows kind of the crossover names, it says Symbiotes in Metropolis.
Oh, so I wasn't just making that up?
No, that's why you wrote that down, actually, as I'm looking at it. I think that's a cooler title, in my opinion, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I gave that 3.5 out of 5, number 6. Number 7, Metropolis Marvels. So Symbiotes in Metropolis, written by Jason Aaron. And then number 7, Metropolis Marvels, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And let's see, which one? Who wrote that again?
Symbiotes in which
Dan Slott. That was the Dan Slott one. Sorry,
okay.
I don't think of that being called Metropolis Marvels.
Yeah.
The number 8 is The One Thing. I gave it a 3 out of 5, which is the one by Bendis. And then number 9 is Ghosting, which I gave a 2 out of 5. Written by, let's see, Simonson. No hate here. This is just my personal ranking.
Yeah.
Do you have a personal ranking?
Yeah, so I didn't get to write down this ranking before shooting the video, so this is kind of improv. But number 1 is absolutely Our Kryptonite, which is the first story. It's just perfect.
Yep.
The art, the pitch, which we didn't get into spoiler territory.
We're about to.
Yeah. It's number 1 for spoiler reasons. I'll just say that. And number 2 is also the same as Micah's, which is, I believe...
Identity War?
Identity War, yes. Identity War. Number 3, this is where it gets pretty difficult for me. Oh, wow.
Okay, close your eyes and think about it.
I think number 3 is going to be a tie.
Okay.
For me between the Remarkable story and Metropolis Marvels.
Nice, yeah.
And the reason why is actually because, as someone who's not really a Spider-Man noir fan, having that pitch sell so well and capture my attention on that level, I think is very commendable. And that's why I climbed up the rank for me. So, number 5, which, again, 3 and 4, kind of a tie. Number 5, I would say, is the... I'm going to go crazy with this one. I actually think number 5 is One of Those Days. The last story that we were just talking about.
That. I think that's a good placement.
Yeah, I think One of Those Days was, even though it was just 2 pages, it was beautiful.
No, sorry, that's the Globe one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got them mixed up.
No, you're good. I think that's I don't know. What it says about Clark as a character, especially, is what really touches me. And even though that moment at the end kind of drew me out of it, it's still really impactful. Number 6 for me is, it's hard to choose between the Wondrous and the Worthy. And actually, no, it's not hard to choose. I think that's number 6.
Yeah.
Number 7 is going to be Sweethearts. I think Sweethearts with Gwen Stacy and Lana Lang, again, the pitch is so good. I love the end of it. First half, not so good, but the end of it was great. And again, to see college-age Clark was pretty awesome, because I love Clark.
So good.
And we're on number 8 now, I think.
Yeah.
Number 8. Number 8. Because I have 2 left. Yes. Do I?
I think you have 1 left. Right?
No, because I have not mentioned...
Bendis. You haven't mentioned the Bendis one,
and I haven't mentioned
the ghosting.
So, yeah, I think I'm on number 8. So, number 8, I would say, is The One Thing by Bendis, and number 9 is Ghosting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's self-explanatory. I've kind of stated my reasons. I think Bendis did a really good job with some Clark dialogue, but the pitch is not interesting enough for me. And, I don't know, the pitch of Ghosting, it's cool. Not really super knowledgeable on Hobgoblin and Steel. I think Thor coming in later is awesome, but it was too short and it wasn't enough to really capture my attention and leave a lasting mark, but it's not bad. All of these are good.
You have, I think, a really objective list. Oh, I like that. Also, shout out to Jay Bowen, who's credited for the design of this page.
Whoa.
I was just thinking about how cool it is to see all of the graphic designs for these iconic characters.
Yeah.
And seeing them all on one page is just really satisfying. And as a student of design myself, like I pay attention to like typefaces and all that. So I don't really know who's responsible for each of these like title designs.
Yeah.
But I think this page is laid out pretty well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay Bowen, whoever you are.
All right. So this is going to get us into quick
spoilers
territory. We're not going to go on too long because this video is getting pretty long.
Yes.
But just some favorite moments of ours.
Favorite moments.
So let's just get right into it.
Number
First
1.
story. Superman gets some symbiote on him.
Venomized.
We got Superman getting venomized.
That was a jaw-dropping
Something
moment.
I never knew I needed.
Jaw-dropping.
I love it. And again, the artist. Let's shout out the artist again, Pepe Larraz. Oh my goodness, you are talented.
Double page splash with Venomized Clark going against Spider-Man with so much hidden in the corners, right? Yes. We have Lex and Green Goblin both hovering on Goblin crafts. And then seeing Green Goblin with Lex suit armor is so genius.
Yes.
And then you have people like Doomsday, Rhino in the background. You got Electro,
Doc Ock and Brainiac. Doc Ock and Brainiac.
Holy
just
crap!
Sitting,
that is so cool.
Super sick.
My gosh, we got let's see.
Look at this page.
Taskmaster, Deathstroke, and Kraven.
Look at that.
Holy crap! Beautiful. And it's just like, it was so satisfying because they spent so much time building up in the dark, and you just didn't know what was going to, like,
the element of
next,
surprise.
You know, they did such a good, the element of surprise.
So good. And I will say, one more shout out to Pepe Larraz. I think it's the collaboration between him and Matthew Wilson as colorist that I love. I think the colors are so well realized, especially when they're underground and there's just this flood of kryptonite. I love it. So furthermore in the story...
The attention to detail is so cool for the pitch.
Yes.
Because basically what happens is that Spider-Man and Superman are trapped, but like, it's not just that they're trapped, it's the idea that Lex and Norman came up with is genius.
Yeah.
Throw a pumpkin bomb, a goblin bomb, at Clark or at them, like, I think they just like throw it into the area that they're trapped in, but it's like laced with kryptonite and the symbiote.
Yep.
So they utilize both of their genius, and they come up with this like fail-safe operation of like using kryptonite and a symbiote at the same time.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
And I just got to shout out the fact that this story has my favorite moment of action in this entire issue.
Yes.
Let me just preface it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Let me just preface it with this, which is already peak. It's Superman using his laser eyes to splash off symbiote off of his face. But secondarily, this one literally, like, I'm not going to lie, it made me soy face a little bit. I'm not going to when I was reading. He uses a super clap to get the rest of the venom off of him.
Absolutely genius.
I love it when Superman's kind of like more niche superpowers kick in like that, just using his brute strength through a clap to get it all off.
And the symbiotes are weak to sonic frequencies.
Yeah, that is true to lore, and the lettering of the like raccoon kind of, it's just, I love it. And then right after you get this, again, beautiful mesh between the penciling and the coloring, look at the way Superman and Spider-Man are drawn in color right there.
So cool.
And how aura farming they are there. It's awesome.
And then we immediately go into the Clark and Peter moment. So cool. And it's like Peter's just talking to Ben, I assume on the anniversary of Ben's death. And Clark just comes up next to him. Starts talking about all that stuff. But yeah, the next standout moment in this issue is when Peter takes Aunt May to the Clark residence in Smallville. Or, Clark residence. The Kent residence in Smallville. And you get these really, really good character moments. And they're so, like, small. This story was crafted so delicately. They did not waste moments and page counts and like dialogue blurbs. Like at the very end we have May and Ma Kent doing an arm wrestle. That is so wholesome.
It's hilarious.
That's great. Man, so good. And then let's see, what's another spoiler standout moment? We already talked about the paneling of Dan Slott's story, which is so good. This callback to Amazing Fantasy is
super
very
good.
Cool.
I love it. I love it. And this is the page with that kind of bang lettering paneling going on as Spider-Noir shoots off his gun. Love it.
And this is another standout moment for me in the Sweetheart story. This last panel when Peter and Clark are sort of coming back from their superheroing that the girls didn't know about, and the girls have been talking about them, and they're sort of confused. Like Peter's like drenched because he was fighting the water, and Clark is covered in sand because he was fighting Sandman, and the girls are just like getting on with that. Such a cool moment.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh my gosh! Every page of the Jeff Johns story is absolute peak.
Oh man.
Sorry to overuse that word, but it's just the case. And I guess we can talk about, since we're going into spoilers, the moment with Green Lantern when he's trying to flirt with She-Hulk.
It's just perfect.
And she's like, I'm not dating right now, but thanks for the resume. And Green Lantern looks at he breaks the fourth wall and he's like, wait, hold on, let me read this properly.
So it's prefaced with the thing narrating saying Jennifer She-Hulk was a long way from Savage, and Green Lantern guy loves reminding folks he beat a red ring once.
And he was like, actually, it was twice. Oh man, so good. And just the way that the thing is written, you can just hear his voice perfectly. And this has one of the best moments in the entire book, which is Clark talking down Bruce as Hulk, and not just Hulk, but he is filled with the rage of a Red Lantern.
It's perfect. That is such a good pitch. It's like a pitch that was meant to be. That's the beauty of comic book writing. I was talking to Micah earlier about how comic book writing is such a difficult job, because not only do you have to realize characters well, come up with new stories, but the pitches you have to be smart and clever. And I truly think that this moment is just one of the most clever moments, because not only is it so heartfelt between Clark and Bruce Banner, but it's based off of a pitch that it's like, how did this never happen before?
Yeah, dude.
It's only never happened because the crossover hasn't allowed it until now.
Yep.
Bruce Banner being possessed by the rage of Red Lantern. That is perfect. That is a perfect. It's meant to be. And again, who else is going to get him out of that rage but Clark? You know,
Clark tells the thing at the end. It's not always clobbering time, and that is such a cool line.
Yep.
Well done, Jeff Johns. Let's see other standout moments.
It's Ben coming up to Bruce. Ben coming up to Bruce at the end. Beautiful.
Okay. The ending panel. So we had the panel that Matthew was talking about where Kara and Gwen are like standing up, facing off right here. The cat fight energy. But then this ending panel is really funny because I don't know if you can see it, but it says in Kara's handwriting, "To one of the 5 million spider-powered heroes, love Supergirl."
It's just still so sassy, but like heartfelt because it's Kara.
Yeah, because Gwen wanted the autograph of Superman. She went all the way to Metropolis to meet him, and she meets Supergirl. And then the moment when let's see,
Dormammu and Brainiac looks cool. That's all I'll say about this. The Wondrous and the Worthy. The Wondrous and the Worthy.
But hold on. I'm Miles. Actually, no, I'm Spider-Man.
It's great. That's really a great moment, Bendis. I love it.
Venomized parademons.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's what I was going to point out.
Standout moment.
It's all you really got to point out, as well as the Dark Side panel.
Dark Side panel with this blade. Freaking sick. And then, all of the art for the Jeff Loeb story is just a standout moment for me. I love the Ditko approach.
Yeah. So, I think that's a good summary.
Yeah. Thank you, Marvel and DC,
for making this
happen.
Especially for us to kind of be at our age, living in this era of comics.
Yep.
It's a welcome surprise. The moment we heard of an announcement of the crossover, we lost our minds. Because, my goodness, that happened decades ago, and we get to live in that moment now. So, thank you, Marvel. Thank you, DC. Wonderful stories, very emotional, very heartfelt, very beautifully drawn as always, very beautifully colored and lettered. This was a treat, and it's well worth your $8. Go find this at your local comic book shop if they're still available at the newsstands.
Support your local comic shop.
This is it. Right here. Get it.
Get it.
Spider-Man, Superman, not Superman, Spider-Man. We have not read Superman, Spider-Man yet.
Which is coming later.
Yes. So
shout out to Mom.
Yeah, shout out to Mom for getting that.
Also, what was your favorite story? Do you disagree with any of our takes? Let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We really want to make more content about comics. We love talking about this stuff, and we love hearing genuine comments, bro.
Yes.
We've had some really good comments on some of my videos lately that are just really in depth, and I really appreciate it because it tells me that the internet is alive.
Yes.
You know?
And the internet likes comics, likes superheroes, likes film, likes all that.
So welcome back to ZINE Rack.
Yeah.
And if you like this video, like it.
If you dislike it, dislike it.
We're real. Yeah. Let's keep it real.
Yep.
So I will be doing a review of some of my recent pickups, including Black Cat, Swamp Thing, 1989,
Ben 10,
Ben 10, which is what I've been waiting for, and some of the Sonic content with the DC crossover, and I will be doing that in a later video. We will also be talking about our free comic book day pickups. We're a little bit late on that, but we'd love to yap about it, and I'm sure there are people, going online and looking at other people's thoughts about the comics that they read and took their families to pick up. So,
cool.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
in the next video.